Well, hi. It's been a while, obviously, since I've really posted anything about this, about Jeremy or the Flying Clarkson. Well, it's been a while. I haven't driven it since Grid Life Road America last year, where it started on fire, to those of you who have seen it. And a couple of friends, other people, some of the partners that I've worked with are kind of left high and dry and in the loop and wondering what's going on. So I will go ahead and show you guys why that is. So as you can see, obviously it's only got half the hood on right now because this was obviously made as a split hood, but there's now a bumper sitting on top of it. Had to get that because, well, the factory bumper has been cut up and destroyed so many times it still has holes from some reinforcement plates that we had to do at one point. It's burnt and crispy. Yeah, the old turbo setup was really cool for like a minute, and then it got pretty old with how it was set up. So, but basically, I'm taking the year off just because, well, quite frankly, racing is expensive, turns out, and although I do love my job at Pegasus, it doesn't quite cover all the bills of modern living in society and racing in and of itself. So at least not long term at the level that I'm trying to do it at. Turns out 800 horsepower in a C4 Corvette isn't exactly the cheapest endeavor, but you know, it is what it is. The tricky part is I'm swapping classes, so I'm going to track mod, or trying to go to track mod. Basically, I'm planning on building the car that I've always wanted to build, building kind of my idea of what the C4 could be in the time attack world, that's still within the track mod restraints. I don't want to go into unlimited because that is even more of a big gun fight, but I can pretty much build exactly what I want to build within the track mod rules with the rule sets. So that's what I'm planning on doing. But yeah, the reason that I'm doing that is Grid Life released that sequentials are open, and quite frankly, if I'm going to lose to people with $30,000 transmissions, I'm going to do it with a car that I actually like what I built, instead of trying to fumble around the gray area that is the Grid Life Street Mod class. And the reason I say that is there were all sorts of ideas and stuff that is technically legal, where yes, I could you know, basically explain myself and explain how what I did was legal, but in my opinion, that's exactly why it shouldn't be legal. One of those being essentially a flat floor. Those of you that are kind of familiar are well aware as to what I had on here for side skirts, and they were kind of inspired by other cars in the class that have had very, very large side skirts. But in Street Mod, you can't have a flat floor. You can have your side skirts be an inch apart, and it's no longer a flat floor, which I think is ridiculous, but it is what the rule set is. You know, I had ideas of having a diffuser start essentially underneath the driver's seat, and you know, that's just not, it's not viable. It's not, sure, it's legal, and anyone who knows anything about aero knows that it would be legal, but anyone who knows anything about aero knows exactly how that's not legal. But according to the rules, with how the rules are written, it is technically legal because side skirts are open. But on top of that, there's quite a few other little rules and odds and ends within Street Mod that are ridiculous, that I don't agree with. So I said, screw it, I'm gonna go to track mod, and with that comes a whole new build philosophy. Now actually going to what I want to build versus trying to work within the Street Mod constraints. One of those being gutting the interior. I do still run a factory dash, although I am changing to an earlier model dash. The 96 dash is pretty awful, and once again, to people that have seen in-car video, there is this dash bar that is, it was above the original dash. I actually ended up getting that 96 or whatever it was dash out without cutting anything, which was shocking. I was pretty positive I was going to have to cut off that dash bar, which I am going to do anyway. We're going to put a different dash bar in, one that's much less egregious and covers my line of sight. But once again, all of these things are little things that are adding up into not having enough time, needing to take some time off, a hiatus. Hopefully this is a short-term, 1-year only hiatus and not the infamous scope creep that everyone has seen across everything. I've never actually taken a full year of racing off in my life. I've been racing since I was 9, and I've never done that. I've always had something. Even when I was away for college, I still had racing in my life as a big part of it. Something, somewhere, somehow. You know, this is the first summer where I'm 100% a spectator. I may partake in a co-drive here or there, but Jeremy isn't leaving. It's just it's taken some time. So there's quite a few other things going on, one of which is an electronic steering column. I ran the Volvo pump, hated it, ran the TRW pump, didn't love it. It was okay, but I didn't love it at the end of the day. Switching from a single turbo to twin turbos, I actually sent out my old Borg-Warner turbo to Borg-Warner, and then they lost it, so they gave me a payout for that, which was nice. And I'm going to Turbo Smart turbos, which is what we carry at work. So that'll be pretty interesting. I already ripped out all the factory wiring, and now it's getting a PDM from work through AIM. Not through AIM, but it's an AIM PDM that I'm getting through work. I'll keep the passenger side seat in there because I, quite frankly, still love giving people rides. And I got really lucky when I made the decision to go to track mod. I started perusing and found Spec Corvette had a closeout deal on 18 by 12 and a halves. So I got 18 by 12 and a halves for $642, brand new in box from Spec Corvette. That is something that I would love to have again. I foolishly only bought one set, should have bought two. But you know, it is what it is. I want to get into a lot of carbon stuff and make my own carbon panels, because now I'm allowed to through track mod do carbon doors. Could always do a carbon door or carbon hood, but never did. And I'm planning on making a carbon front clip, so hood, bumper, the whole nine. Got rid of a couple of other things. Going to change out the door, carbon roof, which I could have always done in track and street mod, and a carbon rear hatch, which should be like 40 some pounds shaved, because right now it's still glass, even though, you know, the tint is always kind of sucked on it. But now it'll just be raw carbon, hopefully, as soon as I ever get to it. I do have a way to figure out how to get the 18 by 12 and a halves almost fit perfect. This is 18 by 12 and a half on the front hood without any fender flare. So it's really close. It's only about an inch. So I'm going to widen the front hood a touch. The rear already has fender flares on it. They're factory Grand Sport flares, so that's going to be easy. And like I said, I'm going to twins underneath on each side of the oil pan. We'll see what all that does. And then some of you may notice there is no suspension in the back here. There is nothing, not even a little bit. The only thing that is there is a dip. And to anyone who knows anything about C4s, C3s, and well, C2s were still live axle, but C3s and C4s, they didn't have traditional independent suspension. They used, I guess you can call it a 4-link. It's a 4-link mixed with independent. So the rear diff is solid mounted. It used what's called a bat wing, because it goes essentially the full track width of the car, or inside to inside, I should say. And then it uses actually half shafts. It uses aluminum half shafts with U-joints on each end. There's no plunging on the axle, there's no nothing. The reason is the half shaft is the upper control arm. Why would they do that? I have no idea. It makes it awful. At Road America last year, going 170 down the back straight, the car would wander side to side, almost full track, because it had dynamic thrust load and dynamic camber change and dynamic tow, because there was a 1/16 of an inch of play at the diff output yoke, and that translated to almost a 1/4 inch of play on the actual tire surface. Going to bigger tires is only going to make that worse. Going to more underbody aero is going to make that worse. Going to more power is going to make it worse. So I said, screw it, this is awful, I hate it. This is something that I wanted to do in street mod, and I actually could through the Pro Touring rule set. But now that it's going to have 345s on it front and back, it's a lot more important. So doing that. And some of these things were stuff that I was planning on changing anyhow. The rear suspension I was planning on, the turbo setup I was planning on anyhow. That's what my off-season project was going to be. I was going to do that stuff, get the car on track, hopefully try and recover. Fiscally, there is no recovery, but you know, here I am. You know, end of May, and I basically haven't touched the car. I've been working on my brother's 718 in street, and now I'm working on Ruben's 718 for street class. That's what's on the lift right now. So yeah, couple of shout outs to the people that have been working with me, that I'm deeply sorry and apologetic for not having the car out, one of which is Wisco Speed and Performance. They've been a huge help. They're actually the ones that built the engine that's in it now, and we're actually going to do a small refresh just to get some forged internals in there, handle the higher power load that we're going to shoot for with track mod, because 700 at the wheel wasn't enough. I want more, and I want something that's going to be a little bit happier and healthier long term. So, you know, they've been amazing. My buddy Anthony Montello at Lazy Rocket, he's someone who I continue to work with. He's my vinyl guy. He's the one that helped create the Flying Clarkson into what you see it as today. Zebulon has always been super helpful. I probably text him more than I text 99% of my family, just from chatting, throwing out ideas, spitballing stuff, and he's been very helpful and very receptive with all that. Pegasus Auto Racing obviously has been hugely influential on it, both on this car and my general racing career. Like I said, they do kind of what their sponsorship deal is, where they help cover a lot of the entry fees. So unfortunately, or should I say fortunately, they make the expensive part of running with Grid Life, which can be the entry fees, much more feasible. So they've been really helpful there. Who else? Who am I? Retrovet. He sent out some pretty baller taillights, which maybe someday will actually see the light of day, but right now there is no bumper. It's actually sitting on a shelf next to my old side skirts. You know, you can kind of see it way back there. I don't know if I can zoom in. No, it's on the shelf back there. So yeah, yeah. So hopefully it's back out next year this time. Hopefully it's out before then, but we'll see. There's a lot to get done. I gotta figure out how to retrofit a different dash, figure out how to make carbon parts, because at this point I've also sold off a lot of the other stuff, and I've deemed a lot of the other stuff kind of unfit for use in the future. So no matter what I do, I have to rewire it. I sold the ECU to get a Haltech, going from a Holly to a Haltech. That's another thing. Sold that off. I sold off a lot of stuff that I think just isn't going to be useful for me anymore, and it's kind of just taking up space. Be nice to have some space back. I also have to make my own headers with Art. Art has been a huge help. Anything that I don't feel comfortable fabricating, I've taken to him, and he has handled pretty much completely by himself. There's been a couple of guys here and there that have done like suspension work for me, cage work. A guy out in John Koch out in central Wisconsin is going to be redoing all the cage stuff for me. So it's just a long list. It never ends, and it's only getting longer. But that's the update. That's where this has been. That's why no one has seen anything, because it's been, we literally put baby in the corner here, sitting underneath another car. It's just haven't had a chance. So yeah, but that's where we're at. Hopefully I can get to it soon. It's actually kind of far on the project list. I have house projects now, which whoever said get a house, no thank you. That was a pain, but here we are, homeowner, and well, the rest is history. But yeah, I'm excited to get the car back out. Hopefully we can this time next year. It's not going to happen this year at all. It's just not feasible. So anyone who doesn't know me that well, I am essentially a one-man crew. I do all the work myself, with the exception of the few people that I've rattled off that have helped me. But for the most part, most of them are fairly hands-off. You know, any carbon stuff I've always had Zebulon do, but now I'm going to try and do some of that myself, just because racing is expensive. The engine work, Adam over at Wisco Speed and Performance he's been my only engine guy, and he will continue to be my only engine guy. I've been really happy with him. I actually hooked up with him very early on with this program, and he's had a hand in everything that I've done with it. So, and he will continue to have a hand in everything that I've done. Been very grateful to have him aboard. So, but yeah, it's never ending. So that's where we're at. Hopefully you guys will see some more in the future. So bye. Hopefully we get some more progress, but this is what it is. Thank you.